Welcome back, everybody, to 31 1980s horror movies for Halloween, where I'm counting down my favorite horror movies from the 1980s. Alright, before we get into this one, I just want to say, I know, it's blasphemy that this did not make the top 10. I couldn't help it, it's just, I liked other movies more than this one. But you have to understand, it's in my top 31 favorite 80s horror movies. I do love this movie. The only reason it doesn't quite make the top 10 is just that I loved other movies more. That's it. So, at number 14, we have Nightmare on Elm Street.
What?
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
I know. It should be in the top 10. But again, understand, this is just my personal opinion. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. There are just other movies I loved a little more. But I get why people love this movie so much. It's a great horror movie. It's another one of those movies where it's a simple concept executed perfectly. It's about a guy who kills people in their dreams. And if they die in their dreams, they die in real life. It's a perfect concept. It's a perfect way to build tension. No one can avoid sleep. Everybody has to sleep. Everybody dreams. And now you have this guy who kills people in their dreams. It just creates that sense of dread. Like I said earlier on, the sense of dread is great in horror movies. I love a sense of dread in horror movies.
Because somebody cut her while I watched.
And you didn't get a look at it.
You couldn't even see the fucker. You could just see cuts happening.
Of course, everybody knows that we have Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and he has become synonymous with that role. Eventually, we're going to get a Nightmare on Elm Street, a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and eventually we're going to have to not have Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I know he's already retired from the role. I don't think he's going to come back, but some people say he might for the right role. But we're going to have Nightmare on Elm Street movies where Robert Englund is not Freddy Krueger. And that's going to be hard for anybody to accept because he did such a great job as Freddy Krueger. He embodied that role.
Please, God.
This is God.
Now, admittedly, the first Nightmare on Elm Street is where we don't have the fun, wisecracking Freddy that we all know and love. He came out in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. And Dream Warriors is a fantastic addition. There are a lot of people who say that Dream Warriors is their favorite movie in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and I 100% get that. But I do prefer the scary Freddy, and that's just my own personal taste. Focusing on the first Nightmare on Elm Street, you have Freddy Krueger, who is a fantastic villain, and he is scary in this one. Freddy is terrifying in this movie. He still has that gallows humor, but again, he's a guy who just exists in your dreams, so he can do whatever he wants. And that's scary. It's scary to think, I can't fall asleep or I'm going to die. And we might as well mention this. Wes Craven was inspired by an actual event of people actually dying in their sleep because they were afraid someone was out to kill them. I'm not going to get into too many details of it here. By all means, look into it. It's very interesting and very tragic, too. But then you have Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson, who is one of the most well-known final girls in all of horror. It's like, you have Laurie Strode from Halloween, you have Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street, Sidney Prescott from Scream, but those are like the top 3 final girls. When you think final girl, Nancy Thompson pops right into your head.
Booby traps and improvised anti-personnel devices? Well, what are you reading that for?
I'm into survival.
And she's great in this movie, too. Robert Englund tends to steal the whole show because he's got a great design. Again, simple but effective design. He's a burnt person. He has all these burn scars. He wears a hat. He wears a green and red striped sweater. And he has a glove with knives on it, creating these claws. Perfect design. It's a design that's instantly appealing. You see Freddy Krueger is like, oh, I like that design, and it scares me. But Nancy Thompson is a great final girl. She starts off, innocent and stuff like that, but she slowly starts losing her mind because of the fact that she can't sleep and the fact that this guy is attacking her in her dreams and killing her friends off in their dreams. But she doesn't become a victim. It's like, right away, she chooses to fight back. Most final girls in horror movies, they choose to fight back in the third act when they have no other choice. It's like, all my friends have been killed off, now I have to fight back. But Nancy Thompson, she goes for Freddy right away. It's like, after the first kill, and after her first experience, there's the first kill, her friend Tina, and then she has the nightmare sequence in school. After that, her boyfriend comes to see her and she says, I'm going to go looking for someone. And she goes to sleep and goes out to find Freddy.
I'm gonna go and look for somebody. And I want you to stand like a sort of a guard, okay? Okay?
Okay.
You don't see that too many times in horror movies. Usually, the final girl does not go after the villain until the third act of the movie. But she already starts looking for him, like, in the second act. And, of course, you have great kills in this movie. This is Johnny Depp's first role, and everybody remembers Johnny Depp getting sucked into that bed and that blood geyser shooting out of the mattress. But for me, my favorite kill is Tina's kill, because Johnny Depp's kill, he gets pulled into the bed and the geyser of blood comes out, and that's great, and his mother sees what happens afterwards. But in Tina's death, her boyfriend's with her, so he's witnessing her being killed by someone he can't see. And for me, that adds that extra element of horror. It's a great scene. Okay, you know what happens. Tina gets those cuts on her stomach, and then she gets dragged on the ceiling. And of course, they built an entire rotating room for that scene. So yeah, they rotated the room, which makes it look like Tina's being pulled up to the ceiling. And they strapped in her boyfriend, so the actor is in the scene reaching up to her. It's a great effect, one of the best practical effects in movies. But again, it's scary because he sees her being killed, but he doesn't see who's doing it. And for me, that just adds an extra element to the scene.
Tina!
There's no reason to praise Nightmare on Elm Street anymore because everybody loves Nightmare on Elm Street. I have it at number 14 on my list. Many other people would have it much higher on their list. I get why people love Nightmare on Elm Street. I get why Freddy Krueger is everyone's favorite of the big three, or most people's favorite of the big three. I understand Nightmare on Elm Street's popularity. Yeah, it did not quite make the top 10, but that's only because I loved certain movies even more. But I will never, ever deny Freddy Krueger's legacy. He's great.
This is just a dream. This isn't real. This is just a dream. He isn't real.